Mississippi Board of Nursing. Before we begin today, I would like to ask Ms. Nancy Norris Johnson to lead us in prayer.
Please bow his feet. Lord, we thank you, God, for another day. Thank you, God, for your love and your mercy. We ask you, God, to go with us during this meeting and pull us back. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
So at this time, we would like to declare a quorum, and I will start to my left if each board member will state their name.
Elvino Castillo.
Carly Walker,
Janelle Moody,
TJ Adams.
Lacey Gentry,
Jeremy Cummins,
Sandra Culpepper.
Janie Clinton,
Drew Calhoun,
Beverly Oliver,
Renee Dotson. Nancy Norris Johnson.
And for the record today, I just want to make the announcement that Dr. Mary Stewart has given her resignation effective immediately due to some personal things going. At this point, we can declare a quorum, and I'm going to request an approval for the agenda.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda as read.
second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, next we're gonna go on to election of the officers. And so I know that Ms. Nancy Norris Johnson, Mr. Casilla, and Dr. Dotson were doing that. So Nancy, would you like to take over that?
Okay, I want to thank Dr. Dobson, and Mr. Avino, and Ms. Shan for sort of stepping in and helping me out this last month. So anyway, we have three positions. The president is there's one running would be Sandra Culpepper. Treasury, one running would be Lacey Gentry, and on the secretary office, we have two, and that would be Jeremy Cummings and Miss Beverly Oliver. So everybody has got their ballots. So if you'll just fill out the ballots, we'll pick them up and yeah, we'll pick them. And we'll just bring them up. I got this. So we come down in. Just go there.
Okay. At this time, the election committee is going to the back to count the ballots. Yeah, that's what I was doing. No, it's usually.
Those are like, you know, all these nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make sure all that's really
I'm okay. And he was so resigned, I meant not rerun.
So there were two calendars.
Okay, that's pretty good.
A lot of people that.
That's right. And he wants to.
Very that's what happened.
Judges. That's one thing.
Why? Probably under backside. Because. It's itchy. I do that all at the same time. But people think.
I looked at the,
Kind of example where he tells about, you know, it's not, if people are forced to put signs in. You know, how to close it up, it's- Cause they can't prove you did or didn't vote. Yeah.
so we don't.
No.
Fans down. I mean, you know,
Oh,
They were
yes.
easily $100,000.
Mhm.
But we spent three.
Now we got two different versions, you can say answer.
And I, you know, you just have, we're very, people know us.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So we put out a video and I put out a video.
You're still gonna live. 71, 60, no, 8 and 7-year-old. And then they just say, oh, we're done.
Seven's based on you're 13.
Right.
Yeah, you but you're always 13. For purpose of the court, you're always 13. So you have to operate.
As real.
Yeah.
It helps. It's a lot.
I don't know.
I'm going to.
I'm out in Zoom.
We need to make we failed to make a point that if, are there anybody wanting to make a motion for somebody else to run? Like for president or treasury or secretary? We failed to do that. I failed. Are we got any motions that Somebody else wants to run? You want to nominate somebody on the floor? Does anybody want to be an officer that's not? been selected? Well, have one more. Thank you. You want me to announce it?
Yes, you'll need to make a motion.
Okay, I need to make a motion to announce the officers for 2025. Do I have a? All right, for President, Sandra Culpepper, Treasury, Lacey Gentry, and Secretary, Jeremy Cummings.
Congratulations. Thank you, Ms. Norris. Great job by you and your team. Next, we're going to move into the open forum. Do I have anyone from the public that would like to speak today? Hi, Dr. Bingle.
Thank you. I just wanted to provide you with a brief report from the annual nursing report that was approved by the board of trustees today. I did provide you with a handout. The first is the list of accreditation site visits that will be coming up for our universities and our colleges until spring of 2027. Secondly, just to let you know that the annual report, the full report, is available on the website.
The full annual report is available on the website. Is it there? We do have 25 schools of nursing, 41 degree programs with multiple degree options. Of those programs, we have 17 associate degree nursing programs, 9 baccalaureate degree programs, 7 master's degree programs, and 8 doctoral programs. Our newest program, MSU Meridian, which is an entry-level master's program, just received notification that they have been awarded accreditation from the national accrediting body, the Commission on Collegiate Nursing Education, after a fall on-site visit by that group. Our institutions are made up of 6 public universities, 4 private universities, and 15 community colleges. Looking at some of the data we collect every year on admissions, enrollment, and graduates, during the 23-24 academic year, we had 3,847 overall admissions, as compared to 3,865 in the 22-23 academic year. Enrollment numbers and faculty vacancy numbers impact that number of admissions that those programs can take in. Enrollment has increased at all degree levels except for the baccalaureate level, which has seen a 6.5 decrease over the past 5 years. That decrease has been in their RN to BSN admissions and enrollment, while their pre-licensure degree program has seen an increase. During the 22-23 academic year, there were 2,732 graduates as compared to 2,638 for the previous academic year. And this is the 3rd consecutive year that we've seen an overall increase. We have seen an increase in the number of first-time test takers for the past 3 years. In Mississippi, graduates continue to perform higher when compared to the rate of the licensure exam at the national level. Also, the second table is our nurse faculty vacancy rates trended over the last few years. After a consistent increase over the last 5 years, in fall 2024, you can see that the nurse faculty vacancy rates reported by our programs did decrease from an overall of 33 to 22. We have started monitoring out-of-state nursing clinical placements, and that table is also included on your handout. IHL Nursing Education does not approve out-of-state programs. However, As you know, we did begin a monitoring process to look at the volume of placements in the state of Mississippi, beginning with the 23-24 academic year. And that is through the Mississippi Commission College Accreditation, and it serves as the state portal agency for State Authorization Reciprocity Agreement, that's SARA. If an institution is not a SARA participant, then they first must get MCCA board approval to operate in the state of Mississippi. And if the institution is a SARA participant, then MCCA considers clinical placements as domiciled in the state of Mississippi and requires any nursing program to be reviewed by IHL Nursing Education. And we're reviewing even if they may have Mississippi residents or they may have out-of-state residents employed and enrolled in their program, and they're placing them in the state. As part of this process, the programs are required to submit the placement for each degree program each academic year. There were at least 20 states representing more than 35 institutions placing students in clinical practicum experiences in Mississippi. And there were more than 2,100 students placed. Of over the 2,100 students that were placed, more than half of those are Mississippi residents at about 62%. The majority of placements of students enrolled are enrolled in graduate APRN programs and specifically FNP programs. The Nurse Retention Loan Repayment Program awarded about $500,000 in its first year. And after a revision that was made in the legislative session 2024 to include more than first-time graduates, the program is now awarding about $200,000 a month. And this is a loan repayment program for graduates who agree to work in the state of Mississippi. There are several programs in the state that will be starting the new academic year with new nurse administrators. Those are Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, Itawamba Community College, Northwest Community College, Belhaven University, and at USM, the dean will be retiring in December, so they'll be bringing on a new dean at that university. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions?
Thank you, Dr. Temple, for the phenomenal work you do on behalf of nursing education. Something we are both very passionate about. On your data you have collected for the nurse faculty vacancy rates, I do see the trend, but I'm not hearing that as reflected just in anecdotal conversation around the state. When will you collect that data again?
That data will be submitted by October the 1st.
Do you have any magic solution to the faculty attrition? And now it sounds like it's spilling over to our deans and directors. What can we do as a board of nursing to stop the bleed, so to speak?
I don't think there is a magic solution. I think there, as you know, a tremendous number of variables that attribute to the high turnover. And when one of the things that this faculty vacancy table doesn't represent is the high turnover rate that our schools are experiencing. You know, a lot of it is disparity in salary. We've talked about that for a number of years. And so what we see is a lot of the faculty turnover is faculty going back into practice. We've really just started experiencing this high volume of turnover in nurse administration, and it is probably a lot to do with the workload and the faculty turnover.
Any other questions?
I just want it noted that I'm so grateful for you and all you do
Well, thank
for
you.
nursing education in the state of Mississippi. Thank you for being a friend to nurse educators and the accreditation process. Dr. Temple accredits for the state of Mississippi, and then most nursing programs have a national accreditation as well. So typically Dr. Temple and her team will go with the national accreditors to make sure everyone is up to speed and up to par and maintaining the level of expectation that we do, as evidenced by the phenomenal pass rates in the state of Mississippi, which are well above the national average. So yay us.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you for all you do.
Thank you, Dr. Tim. Anyone else from the public? At this time, we're gonna move on to the legislative update, and I know that Mr. Bobinger is out. So with that being said, Ms. Clinton, is there anything that you want to bring forth?
Phyllis might can tell us more on this, but we do know that the legislature met in a special session. We have a budget now, which up until last week, we didn't know what we were gonna do because we didn't have any money. So we do have a budget that is approved. We don't know a whole lot about the numbers as of yet. That will be forthcoming to see what we can do with the numbers. And we're finished for right now as far as legislature.
Thank you, Ms. Clinton. Next, we're going to move on to the Office of Nursing Workforce Report. See.
Morning, I would like to see. Workforce report.
Got it. Okay, we'll start with the O&W Student Nurse Retention Scholarship. We recently had a graduate in May, so we now have 23 recipients that have graduated. We have one left, one more scheduled to graduate in August. 9 recipients thus far have completed the work service agreement, and we have 2 more scheduled to complete their work service agreement this year, 2025. Moving to the O&W Nursing Scholarship, we distributed $860,000 in scholarship funding, which assisted about 1,203 students across the state of Mississippi. O&W Advisory Committee, we have 4 members that will roll off the end of June. These 4 members have been invited to the business meeting for July. O&W newsletter rolled out to all the nurses in the state of Mississippi on April 28th, 2025. In MNVP, we did hire a new program manager. I think most of you met her at the board retreat in May. We have 31 nurses that we're currently monitoring in the state, and we have 2 potential participants that are pending. In regards to community visibility, we attended NATI on April the 16th, 2025. Also presented at the Board of Directors retreat on May 13th, and upcoming visibility, we will be at the PN retreat June of this year. And also, I'm in the wrong spot. Okay. Wanted to just kind of give you all some exciting information, some exciting news that's coming down the line in O&W. I would like to introduce Mr. Philip Shirley and Ms. Lauren Mazingo.
And thank you for having us here today. We're with Ad5, and we are a marketing advertising agency. Ad5 being a new marketing advertising agency, but with a lot of senior advertising professionals. There are 5 partners. Philip and I are 2 of them. We have 5 core services, and we're just an integrated agency, as you would expect. Next slide. We focus on achieving high ROI, and we have marketing, advertising, digital, social media, and PR expertise. We also have a very good understanding of the complex healthcare landscape. We've been working with healthcare clients since 1985. A lot of our staff has. And we have a dynamic full service solution. Next slide. Our capabilities cover brand strategy, digital marketing, PR, and crisis management, strategic media, and business consulting, which is more of our data analysis and brand audits and things like that. But what we really wanted to come and talk to you today is about what we would be doing for the Board of Nursing.
Good morning, and President Culpepper and board, we appreciate this opportunity to be with you. I want to back up just for a moment. Lauren didn't say it. Lauren is our managing director, runs our local operations, and I'm a senior partner, which means I get to do whatever I want to. So I'm not there every day. When we first began conversations with your administration of the Board of Nursing and with ONW staff, I thought that it was important that we had an understanding of what the real mission was. And I'll go through this. I'll try to go through this very quickly because I'm looking at your agenda and it looks really full. So we took a look at the enabling legislation for ONW from 2013, I think it was. And it said to promote a culture of health for Mississippi by balancing nursing education practice and workforce development. But I pulled a quote out of there. The legislation was very clear that you must establish a system to ensure an adequate supply of nurses. So that is the foundational piece. Make sure that we keep the pipeline full, which is why we're at this table today. And we're very excited to be working with you to do that. Doing a good job of it now, but in the future, we want to make sure we get not only enough nurses, not just the number, but the right nurses. And we did some research and I asked a few friends because we're in a lot of hospitals. We work with a lot of hospitals. And the thing that kept coming back is make sure you get the right people who will stay in the industry. We don't want them to come through and use up our educational dollars and then move on to a different career. Find people that are well suited. And so we will develop the right personas. We will get into the data, and we have a lot of data to work with to understand the right people who will make this their real career. And that's what we'll be focused on. So as I've said in the document, we feel like this is a very weighty and very, very centrally important for our state's economy and for our health care of our citizens that we get this right. And so that's why we're very excited about it. One last, as far as what we're going to deliver, we looked at your 2024-26 strategic plan. There were two things that jumped out at us. One was enhance the image of the nursing workforce. That will be central. And the second one is enhance the visibility through strategic marketing efforts. We will develop that marketing plan. Our assignment that has been approved is to develop that marketing plan. We're developing a plan that will be good out to 36 months. We think probably be reevaluated at 24 months and make some adjustments, although technically we'll make adjustments all along, hopefully. But 24 to 36 month plan to accomplish raising the visibility of nursing workforce. We do a lot of work in workforce development. That's really the main part of my career. In fact, I'm leaving here, in fact, to go meet with the Mississippi Economic Council on launching the Work Future Institute for Workforce and Educational Excellence in Mississippi. So again, there's some threads here that will allow us to bring some other things to the table for you down the road, hopefully. So those two things jumped out. And then the deliverables, of course, would be the brand positioning, and we can give you some examples of these things if you want, but I don't want to go too long. So I'll just offer to do that if you want it. And then, of course, the main deliverable is that communications plan that allows you to figure out how do we reach people that are the right people and reach their influencers and the decision makers, the new prospective students, to get them into the right programs. And then, of course, there would be a third deliverable would be the creative concept capsule. That's really just a concept for how you're going to talk to people in terms of the language, the images, and so on. So that would be a third deliverable along with the brand positioning and the actual communications plan. So it will include things like brand promise, brand personality, brand positioning, I don't want to get too much into the marketing jargon here today, but those are all components that will make sure that we are reaching the right people, we're motivating them, and we're going to capture the interest of those people who will join your great career and profession and make it a career. So we have some examples of that we can go through, but I'll let you tell us if you want us to go through into detail or not.
Anybody want- Would y'all like them to go through each one of those in detail, or are y'all good with what you're seeing?
I mean, just that quick question of how do you plan to fill the funnel? Because you have the top part of the funnel, and what's your target audience? I mean, what data that you use to decide who to go after? Was there like some GIS data, or how are we feeling the funnel?
Well, the development of this process will help us answer that. Not trying to be evasive, but we don't know exactly yet, but we know what the process is. We do have it's really the most powerful database in the universe. It's called Resonate. No one else in the state has it. I'll just tell you right now, it's but we've bought it on behalf of about 7 different companies, so we're able to afford it. But this database has about 250 million names in it that have about 15,000 data points appended to it. So once we can run some of samples of your database through there, we will be able to develop the personas that tell us these are the people that are going to be our best prospects. And then, of course, we use all the demographic data and so on, but we're going to go past that to value systems and what's important to people and append that with the demographic data so that we can develop a pool of prospects.
It's an interesting concept, but it also presents an interesting dilemma because it's not like you're working for a specific admissions committee where you're filling their funnel with specific students and that the onus is on them to bring it home. You're trying to fill everybody's funnel at once under this umbrella of ONW. So how will you measure the outcomes, the deliverables from the ad?
You want to talk about some of the technical ways to do that with pixels and?
So, yeah, overall, we want to generate more awareness just for going into nursing and make sure that that's on top of the consideration set for people who are much, as they start their careers. So we want to be able to have that as one thing, but we'll be trying to drive traffic to the website. And once you get there, that's the technical part. We can put tracking pixels on the page that allow us to know where they came from and where they're dropping off and how long they're on the page and all of that kind of information that helps us kind of track back to the prospect and how far they go and where we lose them in the chain, or if they go all the way through and actually make an application.
And you'll be able to track if they make an application?
Well, that's going to be tricky depending on, we'll have to work with it.
It's sometimes hidden behind the firewall and we can't access that data. It will depend on how well the community colleges and other programs work with us on that. But we can track to where they got into looking at it. We'll have to figure out the best way to track that stuff, but we have a lot of experience at centralized marketing where we're feeding leads. For example, with the Gulf Coast Regional Tourism Partnership that was developed to rebuild the coast after Katrina and after the oil spill, we were able to bring leads in. This happened to be in tourism, but exact same process. We'd bring the leads into a central database, and then we would feed them to the people who book golf, the people who book fishing, the people who book hotels. And we would follow those leads into those various places. In this case, we would follow them into the educators' websites and their information there. So we will at least know where you delivered a lead to. Whether or not they actually became a student, we'll have to figure out how far behind the firewall can we get. We know how to do it. Whether they allow us to do it is a question that will be answered down the road, but we will have some indication of it.
So this may be a scope a scope creep question here. Is there anything built into this particular campaign or this advertising piece that will allow ONW to actually have a strategy to entice those communities to work with you, those community nursing programs, the larger nursing programs, to allow you access behind that firewall? So is there anything in place to help them kind of encourage that, or a second subset of the marketing campaign that's actually targeted at the individuals that you need to get the data from? I know it might be a bit of scope creep in that, and so that's why.
You may have an answer too, but your best leverage is that $800,000 in scholarship money. And, you know, making them understand how critical that asset is to them. So I think there's some opportunity there to leverage that. I don't know exactly how that would work yet because we haven't developed the plan, but I think you have some, you have some factors in your favor that will make them want to work with you, I think. And we work with the community college board too, so we know them well.
Missions directors to say, hey, I can help you with your NTR because I have scholarships. So that's your carrot there. Okay, thank you.
What's your cost? The cost of the service?
This particular program, I don't remember exactly, 24,000 something to develop the three deliverables, the plan, the biggest piece of that, the brand positioning being a piece of it, and then the initial creative concept that would then flow out into the future executions.
It's just $24,000 for development. There's no additional fee for the tracking and monitoring and the ongoing relationship.
We will develop a recommended budget working with whatever your resources are, which we don't know what you'll have, but we will develop a budget that matches your available funds that will say, here's what you need to put into the actual marketing. Here's how much, here's how you will track it. All of that will be a component of this plan, but it will have very thorough set of key performance indicators. You know, it will include how to build a dashboard. So at any moment you can look and see how the outreach is performing. And I don't know what it will be yet because we haven't gone through the process, but it will probably be digitally focused recommendations so that you can track them very specifically. If you spend this dollar, you're going to get this kind of result from it. And we use predictive modeling, so we will be pretty close to being able to tell you, here's what you can expect from this expenditure.
It looked like you guys just formed back in December of 2024. So the representative clients that you have the slides for, are those since December of 2024, or are you reaching back to your previous careers?
We have about close to 30 clients now. The company almost all these people worked together for the last 25 years. That company closed. It was owned by someone out of state. We closed it surprisingly. And we stepped up 30 minutes after they were all let go and hired every one of them.
Okay.
And restarted with the exact same team that's been working together forever. I won't go into the ugly details of what happened to them, but it was very well received. 24 clients came over with us within a week, which I think speaks highly of this team.
Any other questions from the board members?
Just very excited from ONW standpoint. This is huge. This branding will be phenomenal. And we are just great.
I think that it will make all the nurses in the state feel better about themselves if we do it right.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. We need a little boost. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Shirley and Ms. Mazinga.
Thank you for having
And
us
good to see
today.
my old friend Albino here, we've been friends for about 30 years.
Wow.
As I stated when we were talking about this at the retreat, for this sort of project, we've got the right team.
I wasn't begging for that compliment.
Thank you, guys. And with that being said, we will move on to the practical nursing education report. Dr. Burks.
have the site visit report from East Mississippi Community College. That site visit took place April the 29th through the 30th. And I will review the program finding with recommendations. In governance, that standard was met with no recommendations. Faculty and staff, that standard was met with no recommendation. Under students, the standard was met, but we did have the following recommendations. One involved the student navigator. East Mississippi has 2 campuses, and with the student navigator being on one campus physically, it did raise some concerns about that person's presence on the other campus. So our recommendation was to ensure that the students have access, because it talks about them having access to all the services, that that person be physically present on the scuba campus as well to ensure that they have direct access to the assistance that they needed. In addition, we talked about and recommended that they promote unification and cohesiveness across campuses. And again, that goes back to, although they have 2 separate campuses, the program is one, and it should be one unified. So it's making sure that the students have a unified experience, and that prevents the perceptions of inequality or division among students. Under curriculum, they did meet that standard, but we did have some recommendations as well. One focused primarily on fundamentals, their lab and their clinicals, and that medication content. We wanted the district, again, when looking at them not being 2 separate entities, but being looked at and working as a district, that they implement a medication administration protocol for their first level students across the district. And that is to promote consistency and align with instructional and clinical expectations. Again, that came from, it's not that they're not doing it, but again, they should be one instead of 2 separate entities. Another was in regard to the organization of their schedules and their calendars, recommended that they label the information with the course titles as well as the codes. On the practical nursing side, each class, well, it has a standardized curriculum, and those classes have very specific numbers. And so labeling that information would not only assist when individuals come in to audit the information, but it will also assist their new instructors as well. Another thing that we recommended was they provide a daily breakdown of their clinical hours, and that's just to facilitate tracking and calculations. Practical nursing programs are very unique with their curriculum. They have a specified number, and we actually count those numbers, the number of hours that they're physically on campus. So if that information was actually on their calendars as a day-to-day, and we could see how those numbers were decreasing, it would just provide more clarity for the students as well as the faculty, and it would support their compliance as well. Under resources, that standard was met. And our recommendation was basically in the comparison. It talks about a budget comparison. Their comparison was the practical nursing program with the associate degree program. Associate degree falls on the academic side, practical nursing falls on the career tech side. And so with that structure and those budgets are different. And if they would have compared it basically to one on the CTA side, would have seen that those budgets were more equivalent. Due to the size of their ADM program as well as the length, that budget is 3 times that of the PM program. So that was one of the recommendations, just that they look at one on the CTE side. In terms of their outcomes, they did meet that standard, but we did have a recommendation in terms of them reviewing their SPEP. They do have a systematic, but we recommended that they develop a calendar, and that's to just ensure ongoing evaluations and timely updates. Again, this also assists new faculty. They do have some new faculty, and it will assist with their onboarding of those individuals to actually learn their program. And also to continue to revise their plan of improvement as needed, because they were showing actually a downward decline in their completion rate for students on the scuba campus. That information is being monitored. but we do not want them to fall into that alert status or that alarm where those numbers drastically drop. And they not to do anything about it. They do have a plan and we just wanted them to continue that plan. From the standpoint of their site visit, we did make the recommendation that they do receive full accreditation with those recommendations as stated before. And with full accreditation status, their next review will occur in 2033, but that does not preclude them from the annual report. The annual report is submitted each year in October. The upcoming site visits, there's 4 that's going to take place in the fall. It's Hines Community College, October the 29th and 30th. Holmes Community College is November the 12th and 13th. Jones College, October the 23rd, 24th. Pearl River Community College, November the 6th and the 7th. Community participation is at Natty. We did a seminar for the PN students in Meridian. I participated in the Journal of Nursing Regulations. I'm on the editorial advisory board and completed the ICRS nursing education course. And that course is about regulatory guidelines for accreditation. And that took place from April the 7th through June the 2nd. Are there any questions about the site visit report?
Thank you, Dr. Burks. You always do a fantastic job. So with that being said, is there a motion from the board to approve the recommendations for East Mississippi Community College?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Any opposed? And it will move forward. Thank you, Dr. Burks. So moving down to the next item on the agenda, we have the executive director's report. Dr. Johnson.
Madam President, members of the board, it's still morning. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. Brief report this morning. Basically, I wanted to go to the upcoming events to remind the board members that have expressed interest in attending the annual meeting to make sure you have contacted Madam President so that we have an accurate listing of individuals to register and get travel arranged. It's approaching my time limit to submit the information to NCSBN. So just by a show of hands, any board members who are attending annual. Number we have, I think. But I want to make sure Shannon is keeping the running list of that, but we have to confirm and we have to select delegates and alternate delegates today because I have to get that information in to NCSBN. So I know Madam President's gonna conduct that later on. But that's basically the important thing of that. The hotel tends to fill up rather quickly and I try to submit stuff early so that our individuals can at least be in the host hotel. The additional thing that I want to express to you is on the next slide, Operation Nightingale. The FBI contact for Mississippi contacted me and we have a new affidavit on a new school, as you can see on the slide, Azure College from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The affidavit stated that anyone that went to this school to obtain a PN or they call it an ASN, which is an ADN degree, during the time period from 2017 to the present, obtained it fraudulently. They list names on the affidavit. I had our IT thoughts plan to run a data search as soon as I got the information from the FBI. There was one person that has applied an application pending of an APRN who allegedly graduated from this program during the time referenced in the affidavit as an RN. So I am actively looking at the transcripts of this individual. We have flagged this individual in our system, which is what we do when we get an FBI stating that they're on the FBI list. And so they cannot move forward with any kind of endorsement or application here in Mississippi until we clear them. And then I have to send that information to the FBI and DHS, Department of Health and Human Services, said that person has been cleared. There is a process that is involved in this. So I am looking at this individual, I will be looking at transcripts. Another red flag was we requested something from the APRN program and they could not produce it because they didn't have it. And we're seeing on the national scale with Operation Nightingale is this is what has happened. There are people now going to APRN schools that attended some of these fraudulent schools. And it is a major public safety issue. So just want you to be aware of it. And the investigation is ongoing. I think the individual that submitted the affidavit was in the initial investigation of all these schools that they were opening up. And just refresh your memory, these individuals that opened up these schools were employees of legitimate schools, but saw an opportunity to get money and then broke off and left that school and started their own schools. But they're not doing clinical. Caveat, these people do no clinical. There is no clinical, they only attend class. So that's the issue there, but I just want to bring it to your attention. It is an ongoing investigation and we get new information periodically on all those instances. The other thing I wanted to, and I think Dr. Temple may be gone, but she's still here.
Yeah.
In her data, it kind of goes with what we're seeing. There's been an uptick in our licensure with PNs and RNs. We've seen a slight increase. Each time I give you a report, or Dr. Cagle, when she was here, gave a report, I would look at the percentages and there will always be a slight increase. And we're seeing that across the national level as well, that there is an uptick in the number of RNs and PNs that are going into the profession and passing boards. So it's good to see that. Additionally, the only other thing I'd like to bring to your attention is on the legislative issues, the regulatory updates. If you go to that, Shan, that particular slide, that just shows what you have already acted on the regulatory updates. It's near the end. There we go. Okay. This is what is pending. Most of these we're still waiting for OLRC. And Brandon informed me earlier that we may get some notification from them sometime in the very near future to go forward for review and hopefully approval of these rules and regulations. You will see the temporary emergency rule 1.5, which deals with diet medication. We have reposted that and renewed it for an additional 90 days as of June 1st, because if you don't meet OLRC and get approval, then we have to re-put it out there, repost. And we have 90 more days to do it. And we're hopeful that within that 90-day time span, we'll be able to go before OLRC and see if they approve or disapprove those recommendations. And Madam President, I believe that's all I have. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Dr. Johnson?
Thank you.
So next, we're going to move on to board business. At this time, I would like to see if anyone would like to make a motion to approve the April 11th, 2025 meeting and the May 2025 board retreat minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Any discussion? Any opposed? Now we'll move forward. Next, we'll need a motion for approval of hearing minutes from February 2025.
Make a motion to approve hearing minutes for February 2025.
Second. Any discussion? Any opposed? All right, we're going to move forward. Future meeting dates. Administrative hearings and settlements will be July 15th, 16th, and 17th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. Business meeting, July 18th, 2025 will be at 11:05 a.m. The hearing panel will be Ms. Nancy Norris Johnson, Ms. Lacey Gentry, Ms. Janelle Moody, and Ms. Carly Walker. And at this time, we're going to move into our committee report. First one up is the executive committee. And I do have a couple of things coming out. So I'm going to start off with the bylaws.
All right, I'm going to ask Ms. Kim if she'll give us an update on her analysis on the bylaws as requested from the last meeting.
So
Y'all will remember that the recommendation from the executive committee was to dissolve your bylaws. Based upon the fact that bylaws of the board, they're repetitive. They overlap with your existing administrative rules and with statute. However, Mary had asked for us to do a gap analysis. And what we found when we compared your bylaws to your statutes to your administrative rules, we found a few things that were missing, but it still doesn't change my opinion regarding the need for your bylaws. What was missing in your bylaws, you have the term and the duties of your officers. You don't need a term because your statute actually provides that officers are elected annually. So it's already there. Your term is 1 year because you have annual elections. The duties of your officers are listed in your bylaws, which they don't say anything remarkable. They are what you think. The duty of the secretary is to take the minutes. Everybody kind of knows that. The duty of the treasurer is to work with the president and with the ED and to keep up with the money. Kind of self-explanatory. And the duties of your chair or your president is to preside over the meeting, to work with the ED, to sign those documents. So it's nothing earth-shattering. You can keep the duties, but to me, why would you delineate something? Because it actually almost acts as a limitation. If you're not saying anything special that defies logic or common sense, why define it? So I don't even think you need to drop term or duties into your admin rules, and I think the bylaws can still go away. And then you turn to your committees are specified in your bylaws. I don't think that's necessary either, because again, why are you specifying committees? Why not just we could drop one line in your admin rules that say committees shall be formed by the board as necessary for specific necessary purposes. You don't always have to have these committees. They should evolve. If you need them, they can stay. Obviously they're established, they're not going anywhere, but they should be fluid. I don't think they need to be defined, especially in light what Lacey had said during y'all's retreat about doing these program or policy documents that would be like a binder that could be passed from committee to committee. That's a good idea, but I don't think you have to specify these are our committees forever and ever. But that's really what's missing between your bylaws that's not covered in statute and rule. And we did drop new admin rules, but when we started looking at it and discussing it this morning, we decided that those aren't even really necessary. This board could easily just dissolve its bylaws and be no worse for the wear.
So, all of you received a copy of the bylaws and the revisions that have been looked at back the first part of May. Is still the stance based on the AG opinion, AG rep opinion, and the bylaws committee that we do put forth a motion to dissolve the bylaws of the Board of Nursing. So today I will again put forth the motion to dissolve the bylaws of the Board of Nursing based on this information.
Can we have discussion?
Is there a second?
There's a second. I'll second.
Thank you. Now discussion. Any
Um,
discussion?
We have term limits, like 3 years per office, so it's not in there. So we just go, so someone could serve 8 years in the same position?
Arguably, everybody comes up for election every year.
Uh-huh.
There's no basis to limit other than that was something that a board wanted to do at some point in time. So I don't know what this board wants to do, but yes, the term limits would go away.
Yeah, because most boards do have term limits to positions.
Most of mine don't.
Well, in my lane.
I was gonna say, in my lane, most do not.
Mhm.
And you get new blood on boards, you get new appointments. So it's easy to see that someone may not necessarily serve more than beyond the 1 year that you're required to have the election. But if they do, that's the will of the board.
Mhm.
That's your call about whether or not you think there should be term limits. But with annual elections, it's not like somebody just stays indefinitely. You are constantly, new board members, existing board members are constantly reevaluating who is going to be your next officers.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
It was, you can tell me if this is true, but it was kind of my understanding that boards can't bind successive boards
Absolutely.
unless there's statutory basis for that. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Any further discussion? All of those in favor say aye. Any opposed? And we will move forward with removing the bylaws. The next thing on our executive committee list is we do need delegates for the annual meeting in Chicago. Is anyone interested in being a delegate?
I'm
Beverly,
interested.
I remember getting something from you.
Yeah, did anyone submit applications?
No, that's the discussion we have here.
Okay. Oh, I thought we had to submit, but I can't remember. if I
you do
even
not.
submitted.
No, that's the discussion we have here.
Register, okay.
So do we have any?
And we needed one RN and one LPN?
No, not necessarily.
Oh, that's what it said, okay.
In your bylaws, which you guys just dissolved.
Okay, well, so we're,
Wow.
It can be any two persons, including Dr. Johnson and Mr. Castillo.
But what you have done in the past is one RN and one LPN.
okay,
And to be clear, it has to be 2 delegates and 2 alternates.
That is correct. So do I have another person that would like to volunteer to be a delegate?
Charlie? I'll do it.
It's good. I've sat as a delegate for the last two or 3 years, and it's a very good experience. You learn a lot. Yeah, you learn a lot.
Yeah, you will. There's a lot to learn, and I've done it. I think we did. We did.
There's
September my first
education
year.
courses they do with it. It's really good.
What's involved in being an alternate, just if one of the two delegates can't serve or something?
Yes, because you're going to be voting on some things that'll come out of National Council. They do resolutions. They may have elections, and I know they do have elections coming up.
But that's only if the elected ones can't
That is correct.
attend, for instance.
We had to go through the same kind of pre-classes, what was it, parliamentary
Yeah.
procedure class and kind of stuff. It's very interesting.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
If I may, Madam President.
Yes.
Yes, the alternate has to attend in case something happens to the delegate on site.
Okay.
If the delegate has to step away, the alternate has to step in at that point in time. So the alternate has to be on site as well. And so there is some not training, but they will receive some additional documents and for review, like the business book from NCSBN. There's a little bit of free stuff they have to do to make sure they're aware. And then they have to vote on the officers at the, and that should be something that the board, our board said, who do we want to support in this election for these positions? So that's the importance of the delegates getting the business book and going through all of the information and orientation stuff that has to be done ahead of time. But it is a great experience. They're a little bit busy on those business days, but other than that, they can attend all of the other functions.
Very good.
So with that being said, we have our Beverly, the RN, and then of course, Ms. Carly Walker as the LPN that have volunteered. Would anyone like to volunteer as an alternate that'll be attending?
I'll volunteer. It's no. That's okay.
Thank you. Now, I will say, but we can also, just as an FYI, in the past, we have been able to use a staff member if we see fit to send them as an alternate as well. And so if we don't have a second person, that is okay, because I know that Dr. Johnson would ensure that we have that second alternate.
Staff members can serve as alternates, even EOs can serve as delegates or alternates.
So any questions? Okay, there it is.
Yes.
So with that being said, I am going to have a motion. I need a motion to accept that Beverly Oliver and Carly Walker are delegates for the annual meeting, with Mr. Albino Castillo and Shane Montgomery serving as alternates.
I'll make the motion that Beverly Oliver, Carly Walker are our primary alternate, are our primary delegates. And that Mr. Castillo and Shan Montgomery are our alternate delegates.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any opposed? All right, we'll move forward with that. There you go, Dr. John. Yes, ma'am.
And just make sure alternates, please don't do anything regarding registration of travel. I would submit your names and NCSBN will take care of your travel. And you're automatically registered, okay? So make sure you don't do anything, those people that have,
Go to the general registration.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
I'll contact you. You're gonna get notification from NCSBN once I submit your names about what's the next step and what you need to do. And I may be able to get something for the alternates as well. It's called a resource waiver, but that's through NCSBN. It depends on how many they give me. I think in the past I've been able to do that. So those individuals as well. I'm gonna try and submit today. Because they talked about this past week of getting that information in.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Dates of travel change? Do we have to be there earlier or anything?
No, no. It's just
She's gonna
a matter
figure
of,
it out, and they'll send you a call to meeting and all that. So, yeah, they'll give you all the information. And I'll,
It's not hard.
yeah, you'll just go through a
it's
different
very-
agency to plan your travel.
that's
That's
some
it.
great education.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it, my time.
Get educated.
All right, moving on from that. Do we have any further discussion on that? Yes.
Can we find out who has already submitted, travel information to Diana?
I've got.
I haven't received anything from her, but I submitted my registration number to her.
I've gotten all of mine back from her.
So the rest have not registered, is what I'm hearing, correct?
Registered. I just haven't gotten with Diana to do the travel yet. Any other discussion?
Roll with it.
All right, moving on from that. At this time, I would like to ask Dr. Burks to come speak to us about a motion that we'll need to bring out today, based on some new legislation that we need to address by July. Dr. Burks?
Legislation will take effect July 1. It is in regard to individuals from the military being able to sit for the PN exam. So with that, there is some language and information that we have put together, and you all have those packets. The initial, you'll see where it says qualification for United States Army Combat Medic Specialist, United States Navy Hospital Corpsman, or United States Air Force Aerospace Medical Service Specialist. And those are the individuals that are listed in the bill as being eligible to sit for the NCLEX. So what we have proposed is for those individuals to submit a verification of training and competency form. And that form must be completed by their unit training manager and their chief nursing officer. And a copy of that form is also in the packet where it says training verification form. And the second thing is that those individuals also must submit the MSBN LPN delineations training certificate. And that certificate will be provided to them upon completion of the course. Next, it says submit evidence of completion of training from the official military personnel file required for United States Army Combat Medic Specialist, U.S. Navy Hospital Corpsman, or United States Air Force Aerospace Medical Service Specialist. And that language where it talks about evidence of completion, that is actually in the bill. So he took that information from the bill and placed it here, asking them for their official military personnel file. And those individuals do have access to those files. And in those files, it includes the date that they entered their service branch, any training they have had, and where they received that training. Also, for them to show or have that military service evaluation. And in that evaluation showing the dates of service, in the bill, it says that they must have completed 24 months of clinical experience involving direct patient care. and that can be trauma or emergency. Another part that's also in the bill is for them to submit an official documentation of a diploma from an improved high school or the equivalent thereof. F through K, that is information or language that is in admin code under information for licensure for all individuals who request to sit for boards. On the bottom, you see that it talks about the time frame. In the current rule, Part 2810, Rule 1.12, it talks about those applicants being able to sit for the examination, and it says they have 6 attempts or within 2 years of submitting or completing the program. That's what the language says for those individuals who have completed a program. For those that are coming through this entity, they would not have completed a program, and that's why it was changed to submit an initial application. And when you look at the training verification form, at the bottom, it has a list of subjects. It does not specify subjects. The only areas it says that it can include emergency care and trauma, but those places are listed, and there's a place for them to place or verify their dates, including direct patient care, because that, again, is the language in the bill. The last page is those signatures that they will receive on their end from their manager or their chief nursing officer with their signature. The next document you'll see is a competency checklist. And this is under the part of the bill where it talks about any additional documentation required by the board. The second part of that is with the United States Air Force Aerospace Medical Service Specialists, they are required to complete a checklist. That checklist is actually 22 pages. And so what we did here was look at that checklist and pull the information based upon also NCLEX, because NCLEX has a test plan, and look at that test plan and pull that information as well of a competency checklist. That will require the trainee, that individual, to initial it as well as their certifier. And the certifier is the person saying they attested the person did complete those things. The last part is in regard to that delineation training certificate. For them to have a certificate, they would need a course. And that course has been pretty much created, where you'll see it has course titles. We've created some modules, course descriptions as well. On the second page of that module, you'll also see some overall course objectives. In terms of, again, it goes back to those basic things that they will be required to understand once they take the NCLEX. And that's information covering fundamentals, pharmacology, med-surg, mental health, maternal child, geriatric, and professional practice. And things will be in modules for the individuals to complete. And that is the end of the information that we have.
With that being said, would someone like to make a motion to accept Dr. Burke's recommendation?
I'll make the motion to accept Dr. Burke's recommendation.
Any opposed?
I don't know opposed, but I'm not sure what I'm voting on. Is this the new, this language here that, I mean, what is? I'm just gonna be going through this report, but I'm not sure.
I think the intent,
We have the statute here, so what's?
the intent is to implement everything necessary about House Bill 1262, which essentially to me sounds a lot like universal or reciprocal occupational licensing for medics. So what Dr. Burke, I believe, has outlined is the process, and also included in that would be for the attorneys to publish or revise their administrative rules to also further implement this new way to sit for the exam.
Okay, correct.
So this language at the bottom here, need language for time frame, that'll be in the rule.
Yes, sir.
Bill's effective July 1.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Any opposed? Okay, we'll move forward at this point. Next, we're going to move on to the compliance committee. Ms. Nancy North Johnson.
I have some to bring to the board. I move that the board adopts the compliance committee recommendation. We have two affidavits, we have one affidavits two, and we denied one of the affidavits. 1 and 2 was suspended for a show cause hearing. And we have one to accept modification to extend the probation to 36 months due to his job.
So Nancy's got a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Any discussion? Any opposed? Jonathan, is there anything else? All right. Next, we're gonna move to Advanced Practice Committee. Beverly, did y'all have anything come out of the APRN committee this morning?
We did not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Next is Practice Committee, Ms. Moody.
No updates at this time.
Thank you. Next is Administrative Code, Ms. Gentry.
Nothing to come out of administrative code today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Finance Committee, Mr. Cummins.
Thank you. All right, today will mark my final report to you all, after 3 years of being your treasurer, and I'm honored to have that. I want to tell you all and give some major bragging to Shan Montgomery. After doing nearly 25 years of financials, these are some of the cleanest books and records I've ever seen, ever. And I want to say good job there. It's very transparent. Our finances are very transparent here. We're always above board. We always have adequate funding. And so with that, I wanted to give a 30-second tutorial to everybody, just so you kind of know what you're looking at, because a lot of times we look at all these reports that come by email, we look at all these forms in our packet, and we have no clue what they're about. So just, if you'll follow along with me if you want to, if not, just listen. But the first one that you have would say Board of Nursing fiscal year 25 year-to-date revenue collected as of March 31st. You were given a picture every board business meeting of what the revenue that's being collected for that reporting month. So like right now, we're looking at March 31st, 2025. So this is your fiscal year 25, and this is the revenue that's collected in that month. So when you look at this, you can see every single thing that we took in right here in this report. So it's very, very transparent. If you go to the next one, you've got one that says March 25 expense fiscal year 25. And so you can go through here and you can see every item that was paid out from the Board of Nursing off of this right here for the month of March. Go to the next one. It's a little bit thicker, I believe. No, this one's, the other is a little bit thicker. This is your fiscal year-to-date expenses. So what this is from July the 1st of 24 through March 31st of 25. These are all the expenses that have taken place out of the Board of Nursing. That's given to you right here. You can see the total expenses as of that date is $3.2 million. You can see it broke down here. You honestly, guys, you can't get any clearer than this, of what you've been given. The last one's a real thick packet here. And this is your fiscal year, year-to-date expenses. I think I misspoke. This last one, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. This last one is your fiscal year 25 expenses by vendor. And so you can look at every single vendor that the Board of Nursing has. It's right here on this report, how much we paid them, what it went to. It's all right here for you. So, you know, I've gone 3 years without saying this, but these are some of the best records that you could get. You're handed this every time that we meet. So there's great transparency. Now, to get into my report, after you've gotten that, we're looking at, and this is so easy to get confused, so I want to break it down best I can. We're looking at 3 fiscal years in this report, okay? We're looking at fiscal year 25, which we're currently in, coming to the very end. We're looking at fiscal year 26 that will start July the 1st. And then we're planning for fiscal year 27. So we'll kind of break them down by year here. Fiscal year 25, and this would be as of March 31st, because that's what we're reporting. When we return in July, Ms. Gentry, Dr. Gentry will be able to give you more information completing fiscal year 25. But the revenue collected for fiscal year 25 is $7,147,025. This is primarily due to licensure, renewal fees, background checks, and then fines go into that as well. Something that I want to bring out as a point of reference here for you all to know, 98.9% of our monies that we take in come in electronically. Now that's huge, because that right there shows you that we have right at a 1% chance of there being any form of fraud or misuse of cash that comes in. Only $200 in this fiscal year has come into the board in the form of a cash or check. And so that's a big deal there. And being very transparent, it just shows 98.9% of our funds came in electronically. So there's no opportunity there for fraud or misuse based on those numbers. Year-to-date expenses, as I said earlier, is right at 3.25 million. That goes to salaries, professional services, travel, IT, scholarships, so on and so forth. Our cash on hand is $10,220,485,000. That's edging up a little bit, so we need to be thinking about ways that we can project for money to be spent in fiscal year 27, so that we can get those numbers down a little bit. Each year we kind of have a little extra, and then it adds up there. So, budget status: fiscal year 25 approved budget was $5.64 million. So far we spent 62%. Now I say so far. Remember, we're talking about March 31st. We spent 62% of that. 75% of the year over. We still at that point had 38% of the budget remaining. Puts us in a very good position. All subsidies and grants of $860,000 for O&W has been expended. We have $105,000 that's been transferred over to the Board of Pharmacy for the use of the PMP program. Our major expense areas sitting, as I said earlier, salaries. That's usually the biggest expense. Professional contracts, subsidies, and but we have a very good, strong cash position going out of fiscal year 25. Looking at fiscal year 26, as Ms. Clanton mentioned earlier, we just got our appropriations bill passed. We did get a total appropriations of $5,308,818. That did bring us in with a little bit of a shortfall requested. We did have a $277,266 difference from fiscal year 25. We still don't have a breakdown of that yet. They haven't released that, so we don't know what areas that they put that cut in. But from hearing what you heard earlier with our balance, we're still in a very good position. All right. Personnel, we had approved for personnel for $2.934 million. O&W operations came in at $1.56 million. Transfers and grants will be at $105,000. That's our annual amount that we pay the Board of Pharmacy for the PMP program. And then the rest will go to commodities, capital outlays, travel, and contractual agreements. Personnel funds were restricted to filling approved vacancies, not for pay increases. So the funds that we have here are actually for our 40 pins. We, at the last hour, pretty much, we were given our full 40 pins. So all of our positions were funded, and that's a very good thing. All right, moving forward, looking at fiscal year 27 budget. The board needs to be considering if there are any special projects, any things that we want to do a little bit extra or over our budget amounts that we want to submit. We need to get that to Shannon in July, the first part of July. June 30th, excuse me. Need to get that to her by the end of June because that 27 budget is going to have to be submitted pretty quick. Just remember, in submitting requests, there has to be a who, what, why, when, where analysis that goes along with it. Everything needs to be justified. We can't just say, hey, we want to put $600,000 in this and figure it out. She's got to have something there. So just be mindful of that. But we do need to get some requests into her as soon as possible. In closing, the board continues to maintain a very healthy cash reserve. We got strong financial controls, compliance with state funding rules are in place. And I just want to tell you that I've been deeply honored to serve 3 years as your treasurer, and I know Dr. Gentry is going to do a great job.
Thank you. And with that being said, thank you, Mr. Cummins, for doing a phenomenal job the last 3 years as well. That being said, would someone like to make a motion to accept the finance committee's report? Move to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any opposed? All right, we'll move forward. The Office of Nursing Workforce, Dr. Gentry, on yours, what do you have coming out for us?
Well, we've got lots of exciting. Yeah, guys, as I said earlier, I want to do some things right quick that we don't need approval from the board, but we'd love your blessing. You met the AV5 branding. Very excited about that as we promote O&W. And we capture those who need capturing, and we promote nursing within the state of Mississippi. So we'll all have great nurses when we get old, right? So awesome. That's wonderful. And moving that direction is such a powerful move. And I'm so grateful for our three ladies in O&W and their vision and their mission. It just aligns perfectly with mine. We get so excited in meetings. Sometimes I don't know who's listening and who's talking. So grateful for y'all. Thank you. The other thing I wanted to bring out today was we have selected 4 new members, as we had 4 members rotating off the O&W Advisory Council committee, actually. And congratulations to Miss Peggy Kelly, Miss Amanda Crawford, Dr. Tanya Harbison, and Dr. Wendy Lingle. They will be orienting soon to their duties on the O&W Advisory Board, and we are planning an in-person O&W Advisory Committee meeting this fall, so we can harness some of the, strategically harness some of the momentum from our branding campaign. One other thing I would like your blessing upon is Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith has requested that the Office of Nursing Workforce gather data from the 4 surrounding states of Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Alabama regarding data from those schools of nursing, particularly RN programs in those states, community college, primarily ABN programs. Senator Hyde-Smith is requesting salaries from the faculty of community colleges in the surrounding 4 states to get a comparable for the community college educators in the state of Mississippi. So we are going to move forward with that. Are there any questions regarding that at this time?
She's asking for that data to try to hopefully bring that in line. Is that right?
Yes.
Or
Yes, correct. And that is huge. I think that will help attrition. We see a huge amount of attrition at our community college levels. Typically, community college educators do not make what the university educators make. And there is a huge attrition with that, and that turnover, your outcomes and evaluations, of course, suffer tremendously. So we are hoping she has some federal money in hand. Don't know an exact amount yet. I believe she's also called on Dr. Temple for some data in state. So we're working alongside Dr. Temple and IHL. O&W is going to secure the out-of-state data to help augment this push to get our community college educators some extra salary, and hopefully the retention will increase, and therefore our outcomes as far as completion rates and NCLEX pass rates and all of those good things will continue to increase as well. So it speaks very highly of all educators, not just ADN educators, and our pass rates are so high. And just to applaud them for a minute, I'm very passionate about them and compensating them for what they are worth. So this is a step in the right direction. Very exciting. So any other questions about Cindy Hyde-Smith's request? No, ma'am, I don't think we need a motion for it. It was just a request, and I believe Dr. Johnson said we're good to move forward with that. Okay. The thing I will need a motion for, if you will look in your packet that Ms. Seaton had you refer to earlier, on the right-hand side, we've gone back to the drawing board as a committee And you will see the new and improved version of the Nursing Success NCLEX Scholarship Program proposal. Some requests you had at our last meeting, if you'll look down to mid-page, retention insight. Some board members specifically asked, how many of our scholarship students should we retain in the state of Mississippi? So we pulled some IHL data, some of Dr. Temple's data, and we also pulled some of our ONW data, and you'll see roughly 83% of those who receive these scholarships will remain in the state of Mississippi, which is, I feel, very positive and significant. That's a great intention. I do want you to note, they do the 12.9% that would potentially leave the state after taking boards in our state, cite low pay, lack of opportunities, and staffing issues as the main reason they would leave the state of Mississippi. So something for us to work on as a board and as well as ONW. And again, I think our branding campaign is coming in just at the right time. Something else you had requested as a board, if you'll turn over, you wanted us to develop some type of formula that would fairly meet the needs of our RN students as well as our PN students. So what we did, we tracked data from the NCLEX RN and the NCLEX PN on how many sat for boards in 2024. Also, didn't track it, but Dr. Johnson's report this morning, you can tell in the state of Mississippi, there are about 78% RNs and 22% LPNs. So what we did, and not even having that number, we settled on the 80% RNs would receive vouchers, and the 20% LPN or PN students would receive vouchers based on the data we had in hand. Okay. Our selection dates, we're hoping to move forward with this quickly as this money has been allocated for this budget year. We are going to open applications with board approval on Monday morning, bright and early. We'll have our first selection on July 15th with a total of 86 RN vouchers and 25 PN vouchers. November 15th, for a total of 64 RN vouchers, 23 PN vouchers. And April 15th, for a total of 170 RN vouchers and 32 PN vouchers. Those numbers, that data was trended from NCSBN data on when students set most frequently for boards, and those numbers are correlational to that data. Okay. And the other question you asked of us was, how would we assess the success of the program? And that is under number 9 on page 3. So we will look at our scholarship compliance, and we have set our target for 95% compliance. We have set our pass rate at 83.6% for our RNs and 86.28% as baseline for PNs. And I gladly say those are fairly low target rates because we went with a national percentage pass rate. Our Mississippi percentage pass rate is much higher, but we're going to keep it at that for now. We may adjust our data points later after we see the success of the program, pending full board approval, of course. So at this time, I make a motion that the full board approve the Nursing Success NCLEX Scholarship Program proposal.
I'll second that motion.
Right. Lacey, before y'all vote,
Yes, ma'am.
do you have written criteria of how you're going to, like, what's the benchmark for their GPA? And
Yes, ma'am.
you have specific
Yes,
criteria?
ma'am. We
Okay.
had discussed that last month,
Right.
Kim, but it's right there on page 1 under 4 eligibility. And I will say this, to keep the students from spending any more money than they need to at the time of licensure or close to it. We are going to work alongside Ms. Greenlaw, who their official transcripts must be sent to the Mississippi Board of Nursing in order for them to sit for their boards. Okay, so she will receive. So instead of them sending a transcript to ONW and sending a transcript to Mississippi Board of Nursing, we're going to refer to Ms. Greenlaw's transcript, and that way we know they were successful, even if they're drawn early for the voucher. Let's just say, for example, they on that July 15th, when we have the drawing on that, or how we select our winners of the scholarship. they will not have to submit technically two different, transcripts. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So that's how that will be conducted. Hopefully, what we're looking at, that July 15th date will cover our late July and August RN LPN grads. The November 15th date will cover our December LPN and RN grads. And our April 15th date will cover our May PN and RN grads. So that way they haven't already paid in CSBN for their boards. They know before they apply for boards. They know before they have received the voucher, so they won't purchase it twice or won't have a free one in one they purchased.
Come back to the criteria, sorry.
Yes.
Is it just a 2.5 GPA? Y'all aren't gonna look at anything else, just 2.5 GPA?
2.5 GPA, yes, ma'am.
And
They-
everybody's gonna get the voucher.
If they submit a professional letter of
Okay.
endorsement.
I'm just making sure you keep it objective.
Right.
Like, you guys start reading and you've got too many that have a 2.5 GPA, so you're gonna have to make maybe some decisions between everybody that has a 2.5 or greater GPA. When you start going off into left field, like, well, this one has a better, different classes or a sadder story. When you start introducing subjective,
Yes. So we are going to be as objective as we can, therefore we are going to do it in a lottery style fashion.
perfect. That's it.
It will be a lottery style fashion. So there is no bias. And the program that will be utilized for the lottery will be no cost. Perfect. So there's no additional cost to this program. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gentry. You've done, you and the committee and the staff have done a
Oh, yeah.
phenomenal job of bringing this together.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Madam President.
So with that being said, is there any more discussion? Any opposed? All those in favor? Say aye.
Madam
And-
Chair,
Yes.
I do just want to echo what's already been said and thank the staff, particularly for their, help in putting together the background for this proposal, and particularly their responsiveness to the committee on incorporating input.
Absolutely, they've done a great job.
I
Thank you.
absolutely agree. They have done a phenomenal job, and I know that this is really going to impact our nursing students. And so this is very exciting to me. With that being said, Dr. Gentry, do you have anything else?
I think I covered all my bases. I appreciate you and I appreciate the board, your approval. This was absolutely a labor of love as evidenced by our late evening last night, but we got it. That's really good.
So thank you, Dr. Gentry. Next, we will move on to the legislative committee. Ms. Clinton? Nothing to bring out. With that being said, on number 9, we've already made the decisions of our delegates, so that is no longer something up for discussion at this point. However, before we go, because we will need to go into closed session today, but before I do so, Miss Nancy Norris Johnson has been with us for quite a while. And I know that everybody at the table feels probably the same about Nancy as I do. And as she finishes out her term this month, we want to be able to recognize her. So Nancy Norris Johnson, if you would. So Nancy, for your many years of service and friendship.
I like to say, I'm honored that I sit here since. Everyone, even the new ones. But
We love you.
Okay.
Yes, Dr. Bennett.
You embody everything that we strive to be. You have a servant's heart. You come early, you stay late. You are fair. You are kind. You are just. Thank you for loving us well, Miss Nancy. Thank you for taking time to mentor us, to coach us, to reprimand us when we need reprimanding, and to love on us when we need loving in a kind and affirmative way. You are an amazing lady, and we are just so grateful to have worked alongside you for these last several years. So thank you, and thank you for epitomizing exactly what the Mississippi Board of Nursing is to be for the great state of Mississippi. We are grateful.
Beautiful sentence. The only thing I would add to that is, I know that Nancy prays for each and every one of us.
This is a hard day, the worst day, one of my worst days. I've had some worse days lately, but this day it's hard because I love the board and I love serving students.
So that at this point, I'm gonna ask if we can get a motion to go into closed session to determine if the executive session is needed for personnel.
Madam President, could we have a break, a 5-minute break, please?
We can when we go into, we can go ahead and make the vote. And then-
Okay,
Do I have a second?
second.
Any opposed? Okay. We have a motion to go into executive session.
I'm a motion to go into executive session.
A second. Any opposed? All right, we are now going into executive session.